Super Readers. I'm Mrs. Taylor. Today I'm going to read you a fiction story that I wrote. When it's done, we're going to identify the story elements that you heard in the story. But what exactly are story elements?
Story elements are part of a story that help you better understand what's happening as you read. The story elements that we're going to talk about today are the characters, setting, plot, conflict or problem, resolution or solution, and the theme of the story. It's easy to figure out the characters in the story. It's the person or animal that's in the story. You might ask the question, who is the story about? You might also ask, what is the character like? When you're thinking about the setting of the story, you're going to ask two questions. First of all, where does the story take place? Sometimes the answer is right there, but when the answer is not right there, you have to do a little bit of digging to help you figure out the setting of the story. All you have to do is highlight clues in the story and then use that information to infer where the story took place. It takes a little bit of time, but you can do it. The second question to ask is, when does the story take place? Here are some examples. Did the story happen now in present time, or did it happen a long time ago? Did this happen during the daytime, or did it happen during the nighttime? Once again, you're just going to highlight clues to help you figure out which is the best answer. When you're thinking of the plot of the story, here's a question that you can ask. What are the important events that happened in the story? When you write them down, make sure to write them down in the order that they happened in the story, from the beginning to the middle to the end. When we're thinking about the order of the story, it's called sequencing events of the story. Here are some keywords that you may look for when you are reading. First, then, next, and finally. Every good fiction story has a conflict or a problem. What is the problem in the story? The problem is something that goes wrong. Here are some examples. It's raining, so I can't go outside and play baseball. I'm getting trapped by a sand bucket. Or maybe the dog ate my homework. Every good mystery or fairy tale has a resolution or a solution to the problem. How was the problem solved? When it was raining, I played a baseball-themed video game with my friends instead of playing baseball. When that sand bucket was coming over top of me, Superdog comes to save the day, and I was rescued from the trap. And when the dog ate my homework, well, the next day, I asked my teacher for another copy, and I was able to complete it all over again. The theme is the lesson that the author wants you to take away from the story. What did the character learn? Usually this is presented in a sentence. If at first you don't succeed, try again. You can sum that up by calling that perseverance. Tell the truth, even if it's hard. That's an example of being honest or honesty. It does not pay to be lazy. That's an example of someone who is hardworking. Once you put all the story elements together, it's much easier to understand the story. Let's practice this together. I'm going to read to you a fiction story, and I want you to listen very carefully to the characters, setting, plot, conflict, resolution, and the theme of the story. Let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a dedicated teacher named Mrs. Taylor. There she was, sitting at her desk grading papers, when all of a sudden, bam! She was hit by an apple. Mrs. Taylor collapsed to the floor of her classroom. After about 5 minutes, she woke up confused but ready to continue her day. All of a sudden, she heard a loud noise from outside of her classroom. She peeked out of the window and saw lots of commotion. Someone was trying to steal the Chromebooks from all the children at school. Well, that's a horrible thing to happen. How will we teach the children, especially since we put most of our work on Canvas and Google Classroom these days?
If only I had a superpower so I could help catch those thieves.
Wouldn't it be cool if I could be like Spider-Man and make a spider web to stop the thieves? Maybe I would get there faster if I could fly over there and get the Chromebooks back. Sometimes it's helpful to have eyes in the back of your head. Then you can see what's going on behind you.
Oh no, I'm starting to feel funny. Something's going on here. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm becoming invisible. That's it. If I become invisible, I bet I can catch those horrible thieves.
Gotcha! Mrs. Taylor grabbed the thief and drove the thief to the police station. Mrs. Taylor saved the day. Thanks to Mrs. Taylor, the students were able to complete their assignments on their Chromebooks before it was time to go home for the day.
Well, that's a great story and all, but I don't see myself becoming a superhero anytime soon. It's just a great fiction story.
Now that we read the story, we're going to create a story elements graphic organizer to make sure that we understood what happened in the story. Pay close attention to the characters, the setting, where and when, the plot, at least 3 events that happened in the story, the conflict or the problem, the resolution and the solution, and the theme that happened in the story. Go ahead and pause the video, jot down your answers, and then we'll compare our answers when you're done. Did you write down Mrs. Taylor and thieves for the characters of the story? Good job, boys and girls. For the setting of the story, I wrote down that it happened in school, both inside and outside. I was grading papers inside, but then I captured the thieves outside of the school. When did it happen? Either in the morning or the afternoon. It happened during the school day. Since there are a lot of events that happen in the story, our plot may be a little bit different. Here's what I wrote. Mrs. Taylor heard a noise. Then she saw the thieves stealing the Chromebooks when she looked out the window. Finally, Mrs. Taylor was able to catch the thieves when she was invisible. What did you write for your plot? Wow, you did a great job too. For the conflict or problem, I'm going to rewrite what I wrote in the plot. Thieves stole the students' Chromebooks. This was a problem because students can't do their work and thieves took something that didn't belong to them. For the resolution or the solution of the story, I wrote Mrs. Taylor caught the thieves when she was invisible. When I was deciding on the theme of the story, I read over the plot one more time to help me decide what the best theme would be. So here's what I came up with. First of all, it does not pay to be a criminal. The criminal ended up going to jail and didn't get to keep the Chromebooks anyway. And then the second thing I decided is that good wins over evil. This usually happens in mysteries and in fairy tales. That's a wrap. We completed our story elements graphic organizer. You did a good job, everyone.
Thanks so much for helping me save the day as we caught the criminals and put them to justice. Make sure that the next time you read a fiction book that you make a graphic organizer so you can keep track of the story elements that you read about in your special book. It helps you understand stories so much better. If you liked today's video, click the like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single adventure. Until next time, keep on reading, everyone. Goodbye.